Hi everyone, and welcome back to a new wonderful episode of Get to Know Our Partners, Conosciamo i nostri partner, the monthly interview series by BimBi Italiani, where we spotlight the inspiring people and organizations that support our mission around the world. Today, we're thrilled to introduce one of our long-standing and most valued school partners in Thailand. Here with us is Miss Mandy McFarlane from Bangkok Prep International School. Hi, Miss Mandy, how are you?
Hello, I am well, thank you.
Thank you so much for being with us today, and we have a lot of questions for you. But before we get going, I just want to spare a couple of words on Bangkok Prep, because Bangkok Prep International School was founded in 2003. So now we're celebrating around 22 years of excellence. And Bangkok Prep, for those that are planning or intending to move to Thailand, is a leading British international school that offers high quality education from nursery to year 13. So from when your children are very small up all the way to go to university. And it's one of the schools with the strongest reputation for academic rigor, creativity, and community. So a lot to cover today. Miss Mandy McFarlane, you are the head of the Early Pathways, and you're joining us to share about the school's earlier philosophy. So we're going to focus more on the little children today and how you as a school support children growing up between languages and cultures, and what makes Bangkok Prep a very nurturing environment for international families. So again, welcome, Miss Mandy. lot of interviews today. So let's start with your background. Can you tell us a bit more about your professional journey and your role as a head of Early Pathways at Bangkok Prep? What drew you to early years education?
I think ever since I was a little girl, I used to always play in my bedroom with my teddies in a row, and I used to always pretend to be the teacher. I think I've always known I'm quite nurturing and I wanted to be a teacher. I started my career in England, London, and I worked at schools there. Then I moved to Abu Dhabi, where I was a teacher, and I lived there for 11 years. And I've been in Thailand for the last 6 years working at Bangkok Prep. So I have 2 children who also have attended the school here, a 10-year-old daughter and a 5-year-old son. They've both been through the early years here. So I've kind of had both perspectives. I've been there as a teacher and I've also been there as a parent. So I kind of have a wraparound view of what both sides want and need. So within the school, I've worked within the playgroup, nursery, reception, and year 1 at Bangkok Prep. So I have a really good understanding about what happens throughout all of those years. Last year, I was the head of early years, so I oversaw our nursery and our reception classes. So we have 3 nursery and 4 reception classes currently. And I oversaw the move. So we moved to our new campus 2 years ago. So we were at 53 and we've moved to 77, where we are next to now the secondary school. So I oversaw that move, helping to design the unit, making sure it was really focused on what the young children wanted, making sure there's lots of collaborative, large learning spaces. This year, my role has changed again, and I'm now the head of Early Pathways. So I've kind of got 3 different hats on within this role. My first hat is for pre-nursery. So we opened our brand new Tiny Tales pre-nursery. So that's for our 2 to 3-year-olds. And that's just separate from the school. It's kind of just over by the tennis courts. It's 2 lovely little buildings surrounded by nature. On the wet mornings, you can hear the frogs croaking away in the water around us. It's beautiful over there. So I've overseen the opening and design of that. I work within our early years still because I'm very passionate about movement and getting young children to move. So I'm the PE teacher for our nursery and some of our reception classes. And then my additional role now is to support admissions academically, just to make sure we have more of a wraparound care supporting families and the children as they join our school, making sure we're the right school for them and that they're feeling welcome and supported as they join.
And this is wonderful because I also had the wonderful opportunity to see the campuses moving from the old to the new campus. And I can really echo all of the green scenery that comes with that and the beautiful space, but also the path that you're talking about. So moving from early year up to when the children start to grow older. And this leads a little bit to the second question that I wanted to talk about and ask more, was about your core values and vision as a school, especially for the youngest learners that then move to the early years program, but also for preparation into the older years.
Okay, so our whole school, from pre-nursery all the way to secondary, we have our school mission, which is preparing our community for a sustainable and global future. Nobody really knows what's going to be happening in 20 years' time. And if we look back 20 years, mobile phones and our devices weren't really a thing. So we don't really know what the children are going to need in 20 years' time. However, our values that we use at primary school are key things the children will need. So they need to be able to be brave, resilient, responsible. And each month we focus on one of our values. So we might focus for a month on globally minded, where we'd have our international food festivals and we'd have parents come in throughout the school. We look at honesty and resourcefulness, those key skills that all children will need within the wider community, regardless of where they're coming from or where they're going. Within the early years in particular, we really try to nurture the children. We've got a real holistic approach here. We want to make sure, yes, the children will thrive academically, but we also want them to be independent. We want to teach them the value of being independent, of being resilient, and being creative thinkers, having their own ideas, not having to learn in a structured way. If they've got an interest, let's follow that interest and see where that learning takes us. And as staff at the school, we are really highly trained in going with the children on the journey and taking them the next step of their learning, depending on what their focus is. We have a beautiful early years kitchen. So one of the things we do here is we have been teaching the children how to independently cook. So there's a very basic recipe that we use where the children have to measure all of their ingredients against an egg. So the children will go out in pairs, they'll measure the flour, the butter, the sugar, they'll crack their own egg, they'll mix it all together in a bowl and then call in a teacher to put it in the oven. Academically, they're learning so many skills, from teamwork to math skills to creative skills, but they're also learning that independence. They don't need somebody to do each step or tell them what to do. They can follow a simple display on the wall. And I think the independence really comes through in everything we do, from getting them to choose their own reading books, unpacking their own bags.
Sorry, that's really wonderful. How then, let's talk more about this concept of independent, but also creativity and this learning through play and by doing. How you gave us some beautiful example of the kitchen and cooking. How does that also look like in a daily activity? Would you mind, Miss Mandy, walk us through the day of a child in your school, basically?
Yes, I can do that. So our early years opens from 7:15 in the morning, and this is a time for families to come in together with their children. We really believe in starting the day on a positive note and giving the children time to settle in the environment. They might have a favourite area they want to show their mum or their dad or their nanny, so we open the area for all of the families. Then about 7:35, the class teachers will open their pods. So we have big arches into our classrooms and a sliding door. So we open the pods because we have a big kind of free flow environment. The children would then go into their pods saying goodbye to their key adults. They'd come in and they'd start their day with their class teacher, the care assistant and the teaching assistants who are all in that room. They would have some free play within the classroom, and then they would sit down for their carpet session. That's a really important time for us as teachers to check in on the children to see how they're doing. If we know they've been a bit unsettled that morning, or we know something's happening at home, it's a good chance for us to do an emotional check-in with them and check they're doing okay, and if they're going to need any extra support that day. It's also a key time for us to introduce new activities and tell them what our learning is going to be that day. So as a school, we use a thematic approach. So at the moment, our nursery children are learning about celebrations. So they've learned about Diwali, they've learned about 𝑦𝒏𝒕𝒆𝒂𝒏𝒂𝒊𝒐𝒏𝒂𝒍, which is a local Thai celebration, and they'll be going on to Christmas now this week. So that's a real kind of key time to introduce some new concepts and learning. Then from there, the children would move into what we call our child-led learning time. So this is where all of the classrooms, so we have 7 classrooms, would open up, and all of our shared learning environments. So if you imagine we've got our pods around the outside of a big space, and in the middle we have a gigantic space where the children could just go and explore. It's all in sections of learning, so they might go to a creative area, they might go to the construction area, or the writing area, or the games area. We also open out 2 outdoor areas. So we've got a garden at the back of our facilities where it has kind of climbing equipment, a climbing wall, a slide, a big water pump, so the children have to pump their own water to go into the well. And then we've also got a sand pit and mud kitchen. Our second area is out the front of our learning space, and that area has some outdoor painting activities. I've seen the children there today. They were washing windows, just getting the movement of the vertical up and down. They've got their bikes out there where they'd be riding around quite often. We have to set up a grab shop for the children. They love to play Grab Drivers, which is our local delivery service here. So the children are there, they're writing down their grab orders, somebody's on a bike with a basket and they're scootering around. During this time, the children can also decide when they're hungry. So we don't tell children your snack time is at 9:30. We say, when you're feeling hungry, choose a friend, go and have your snack together. They're given the independence. They go, they select their own snack, they pour their own milk, and they sit at a table. Of course, they're supervised by the staff who are around, just check in on them. They also just do a kind of self-registration to tell us they've eaten, so we can monitor who is eating. We have a really long extended time in the morning where they have this child-led learning time, because it's really important for us to go around and speak to all the children. And some children will do independent play, other children will do focused activities. The children would then go into a phonics session. So this is where we will do letters and sounds. But our younger children, they're still learning to discriminate between environmental sounds, musical sounds, body percussion. But our reception children now are learning the phonemes, and they're starting to blend and segment. So by the end of reception, the majority of children are reading and writing independent sentences. Following that, they would have maybe a specialist lesson. So our early years children have Thai twice a week. So 2 50-minute Thai lessons within their day, twice a week. And then it would be their lunchtime. So for our lunch, we do like a family style dining. Again, we want the independence. So the children would have their own plates and they'd have their water bottles, but in the middle of the table, there'd be bowls. There'd be some fish, some meat, some vegetables, salad, and some carbohydrates. And there the children would select their own food. They would use their manners. They'd be passing things around to each other. It's a really lovely atmosphere. The children are really collaborative in passing the food around. Following their eating, they would have some time to maybe go in the garden or to have some more quiet playtime, whatever they choose. And in the afternoon is more when we have our specialist lessons. So the specialist lessons our early years children would have would be library. They have that twice a week, and music twice a week. They go to PE lessons, so that might be in the sports hall or it might be in the gymnastics room. And reception do swimming lessons in the swimming pool, in the primary pool. And early years nursery children do water exploration. That's where we keep them in our environment because we know lots of children can be nervous of water. So we want to introduce it in a fun and relaxed way. So they do it with their class teachers and their known adults. And they play in the garden where we'll have swimming pools, we'll have hoses, we'll have sprinklers. And it's just a chance for children to get comfortable being around water and splashing each other and just having lots of fun. The end of the day would end always with a snack and a story. And then parents, we do a soft sign out from 1:50 to 2:10, where parents can come and collect their children. We also leave the area open for the parents to play in at the end of the day for about 10-15 minutes. So the children can go and say, oh, today I did this, let me show you. Gives the children a chance to kind of have that conversation with their parents. Following that, our area does close, but the children generally would go into the primary playground there because a lot of them would have siblings in the older years. So we have our primary playground, and that's a real community hub. A lot of our families will stay there till maybe 5 o'clock in the evening, where they'll sit and they'll have their coffees maybe together, the parents and the children would all play around. We understand that around us there's lots of condos, and that some of the condos where the children live don't have big play areas. So we like to open up our playground to our immediate community of our families, so they get to stay and play there.
That's beautiful, and it's a very fulfilling day. And I like personally how it all starts, like from the family moving to school, creating a community within, but ultimately relating back to the community with this opening of space. And also it really demonstrates how you encourage independence through also decision making. When you were talking about deciding when you have the snack, understanding your own feelings, it's really beautiful, and I think very empowering, and a skill that definitely serves as we develop as adults in the future. Another aspect that you mentioned before was really about the multiculturalism, the global side, and because Bangkok Prep, you are an international school and you fully welcome families from all over the world, which is very beautiful. So my question there is, how do you approach diversity in the classroom, but also support multilingual children and parents navigating cultural and linguistic backgrounds that can often be very different?
Yeah, and this is definitely something I think we do well already, but as a school, it's something we're also always trying to improve. We're always trying to look at ways to do this better. Within the early years, we do use a form of sign language, which is called 𝒂𝒏𝒂𝒕𝒏𝒂𝒂𝒏, because for the children, sometimes it's easier for them to see the signs or to make the signs before they can say the words. So if I'm saying to them, do you want more milk? This is the action for more, and the children will learn more or sit down. So we do use 𝒂𝒂𝒕𝒏𝒂𝒂𝒏. The teaching staff we've got in early years do speak a wide variety of languages. We're very, very lucky. But we do just we celebrate the children's language, and we just slowly introduce new words. We do have some things in the environment that support us. We have like electrical boards, which have keywords in multiple languages for the children if they need the toilet and they just want to push the picture. It helps them to understand, but we do encourage lots of talking. We find at this age with younger children, the more they're engrossed in an environment, the quicker they do pick up the words. And key ways to do that is for them to hear people speaking, but singing. Singing is a key for our youngest children, for them to pick up a new language. They'll hear the tones in the song, they'll learn the beat, and you'll find very quickly young children will start singing nursery rhymes that they hear at school. So we find that's very important, especially with our younger children. Our pre-nursery, we don't have any screens. And in nursery, we try not to use screens in term 1, because with this new digital age, there's a big impact on our children already from seeing screens at home or just around. We want to really take it back to the basics of story time, communication, singing songs, doing lots of acting out, role play, doing some cooking, kind of just those things that I remember doing when I was a little girl that really do have value. And we also do a lot of movement. So whenever we're doing anything, we can see I'm always moving my hands. We're never sat down. We're always kind of moving around and encouraging the children to move as well with us. Throughout the year, we celebrate as many different cultures and events that we can within the school. I mentioned earlier we have our Globally Minded Week. That's a huge event at our school. So in early years, I know they do it on a slightly smaller scale, not to overwhelm the children. We have days where we invite families in. They might come and do an activity from their home country. They might come and do some dressing up in some traditional clothes, or they might bring a craft activity. They might bring some food from their home country. We invite parents in to tell stories in their home language. And we're always looking for opportunities. As a whole school, we have our food festival, which I think is one of the highlights of the year for everybody. So we end up having about probably 50 stands in one of our big halls, and then the children get to really celebrate their country by tasting the food, normally some activities at the table, and that's a whole school event from our early years to our secondary children.
And it's very beautiful because I find these events and this technique very nice to celebrate diversity, like also get to learn from where all the different children come from. But at the same time, when you were talking about the language, finding also a common language that everyone can use is beautiful. Now, Bangkok Prep, you are one of our oldest and longest standing affiliated partners as an international school here in Thailand. And let me know, we're really honored to have you be part of our network. Now, you also offer, for those that don't know, or is the first time that they interact directly with Bangkok Prep, Bangkok Prep offers 50% of their placement fee for our BimBi Italiani member families. Now, my question is, what does this membership mean to you as a school, and how does it support the wider international community here in Bangkok?
Well, currently we have 14 Italian families at our school, so that's a really lovely kind of group of families we have here already, and we just really want to nurture the groups and help them to grow within our school and to become part of our community. I know already we have done events with you. We recently did a playgroup event with you, and we invite you obviously into all of our school events. We have our winter fair coming up very soon, and that's a real community event where we get to celebrate everybody. I think it's really important that we have these key partnerships, especially when families move internationally. When they move overseas, it's quite hard sometimes to find your network and find a connection, and sometimes the children go into school first and they make their friends, but it can also be hard for the mums and dads as well. So it's nice to work with them and have a real community feel where we're supporting everybody.
That's wonderful. And then to close, what would you say to Italian or international families that are looking for a warm and professional and globally minded early years environment for their children?
Firstly, I would recommend you come and see us. I think nothing speaks louder than seeing the children. The children are happy, they're engaged, they want to be in school, they're having a great time here. And if you look at any of our social media or our website, you'll see that we are constantly doing lots of different activities, and we're doing things to help support our community and the people around us. I think having had 2 children go through early years, I'm very passionate, and I believe it's a great place for the children to learn and to grow as individuals. Both of my children are very different, and I think the way they are nurtured at our school with our holistic approach has really allowed both of them to really thrive. And I think many families that we speak to, we're often getting feedback from our families, give us very positive feedback about our environment, about our nurturing staff, and how they felt welcome as a community. As a school, we have a community of our parents, the FOBP, Friends of Bangkok Prep, and they are constantly hosting events. They've got activities where they're trying to get parents involved. So we're not just looking after the children who are coming to our school. Parents are also having opportunities to do some classes together, to do some finance classes, to do Zumba classes, I believe they were doing the other week. So it's a real community feel. So if that's what you're looking for, a community feel in the heart of Bangkok, then that would be us.
And I will totally echo that, because we also are often in touch with the community of parents for Bangkok Prep, which is really, really proactive and always looking out to make those type of connections. Well, with this in mind, Miss Mandy, I thank you so much for having taken the time to walk us through your beautiful schools, your earlier path, and for being a valued member of BimBi Italiani, and for everyone that is looking to move to Thailand. We strongly recommend to visit Bangkok Prep. And also as part of your extracurricular activities, there is also Italian cooking, which is another wonderful pull factor for those Italians moving in and maintaining a part of the culture. With this in mind, Miss Mandy, before we conclude, if our followers and those who are listening would like to get in touch with you, how could they contact you? How can they reach out to the school?
If you go via our website, you can reach out via the admissions team there. There you can arrange a tour of the school, so you get to come in and see the premises. I think that's a really good thing to get a feel of the school before you move to any country. It's really valuable to feel what the school is like on a day-to-day basis. Following that, then you'll be able to go through the process of having a tour and then applying if you so wish. But also we have many events, so we constantly have events that's open for free to our community, so please keep an eye out for our winter fair and our open days, and that's a real chance to come in and see what we're about.
Thank you so much, Miss Mandy. And with this in mind, I wish to thank you so much for your time, and thanks to everyone who is following us, and I look forward to seeing you next month with our next interview. Thank you, Miss Mandy. Thanks, Bangkok Prep.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. BimBi Italiani lontani da casa, con la cultura nel cuore si fa strada, l'italiano impariamo tutti.